yesterday evening, but that's all I've seen so far. I only know that Anand won a game in 19 moves, and that's about it.
Well, that's more or less all there is to know. Basically, we just look at the screen and then we comment on the facial expressions. And Anand-Giri not wearing a tie today. He arrived early. Not a great tournament for him. Let's bring up the standings. Things haven't been going very well for our friend Anish, but Vishy Anand, after his Gibraltar disaster, on top with one game to go in the Rapid.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday at Differential who reckoned that Vishy Anand is going to win the candidates tournament. What do you think?
I don't think so, but it's an open field, and I think it's ridiculous to say Vishy can't play chess anymore. He's a world-class player and he can do well in any tournament. I think it's unlikely that he wins twice in a row. The field is so evenly matched.
3 times in a row, that would be. Ooh.
The candidates, no, twice in a row.
If he won this year?
Yes. Awkward silence, but I'm right. First time Vishy played Magnus, he was the defending champion, and Magnus had won and was the challenger.
Yeah.
But he might win Zurich. He's playing against Mr. Vladimir Kramnik today. Normally these two, lots of draws in their recent games. They tend to not hurt each other all that much. But if he makes a draw against Kramnik, that would mean Hikaru-Nakamura has to win his game with black against Levon Aronian. Not an easy feat.
And then there is also the Blitz tournament still coming up tonight.
Right. So the rapid portion, where there's one game left, the players get 2 points per win, while in the Blitz tournament, which starts today at 6 p.m. our time, they get 1 point per win. So it's still wide open. Of course, Nakamura, a great Blitz player. We will see how it goes. Who do you think is going to win?
I don't know. Someone was just asking me in the chat when I arrived who was going to win, and I said it was a good question, and I couldn't come up again. Awkward silence. I don't know. I tend to think Hikaru might still take it if he does as well in the Blitz as he did in the first. He won the opening Blitz, right?
He did, yeah.
So I think it's going to be between Hikaru and Vishy. Do you remember who we predicted to win in our start of the year prediction show?
I think I took Nakamura. It's a rapid Blitz event. He's always a favorite in those if there's no Magnus around.
I think I might have chosen Kramnik. So
maybe we did choose Kramnik.
I'll stick with Kramnik. I think we might have had different opinions. And something I was curious about, tell me, what happened in the openings? Was there any obvious preparation hiding going on, or have people been trying out interesting things?
It's very hard to tell who's been hiding what until we actually see what they play in the candidates. Like, the openings weren't extraordinary. There were quite a few Berlins, quite a few knight f3, g3s, which they like to play nowadays. So it's very hard to tell, and there's always this element, maybe it's third level thinking, and they're playing what they actually want to play in the candidates because they think people would hide it. Very hard to keep track of that, but to my eyes there were no extraordinary openings where you think, nah, no way they're gonna do that.
Well, someone was just asking you what you thought the opening between Vishy and Vladimir was going to be, but there we go, the games have started, so not much more guessing left to do here.
My best guess is it's gonna be a Berlin, but we'll see what they come up with. Oh, it's Berlin, knight f6 by Kramnik. Big surprise. And yeah, my hunch is Vishy's gonna play it safe, do something like castles, knight takes e4, rook e1. That's the safest way to deal with this opening. But I'm wrong, he's played d3.
Which I'm happy to see. What did you make so far of the time control and how it influenced the quality of the games?
I have mixed feelings. I think it depends on the player. Clearly it hasn't influenced Vishy all that much, but he was also the dominating force in rapid tournaments all over the world in the 90s and 2000s, so he quite likes it, but some guys have struggled. Like, Giri has not really played up to his normal standard. Aronian, this first game where he got checkmated by Vishy on move 20, didn't look like a typical Aronian game. Shirov, I'm not sure we can blame it on the time control. I thought he was an underdog. He started very well, but he's lost a tough game yesterday with white in the Berlin. So I'm not sure. To commentate it, it's kind of fun. And yeah, I'm still very torn if I think it should replace classical chess or not. I quite like classical chess as well.
Okay, so let's see what happened in the other games.
Oh, big theory battle. One of my favorite lines in Aronian-Nakamura. Maybe that means they don't want to play it in the candidates, but I guess they also really want to win this tournament, so I'm not sure this is the time to hold back. This is the modern, whatever we call it, the modern Queen's Gambit, where people, come on, stop making moves. Started playing knight bd7 instead of c5. Won't stop making moves. Anyway, all theory, a lot of subtleties here, h6 being one of them. And now we have the position they have on the board. The point of h6 is if black starts with bishop a6 immediately, which they used to play, then white takes and goes b5, c takes b, c6. This is a very sharp line. Vichy won a game against Magnus here in the World Championship match, even though there was with a pawn on h2. This is considered to be dangerous for black. Therefore, black starts with h6, waiting for this bishop to move. And once the bishop moves, bishop d3, bishop a6. Now in all these lines, black would have the extra tempo h6, which proves to be a little improvement of his position. Therefore, Aronian plays more slowly, and now we have a structure that has been played in many a game. Black has a little less space, but he's very solid. He's going to go queen b7, rook a7, rook a8. White is going to try to maintain his space advantage on the queen side. Hard to see Nakamura winning this one, and thereby, if we assume Vichy makes a draw, catching him. But black against Levon Aronian, you can't think about a win from the get-go. Levon has a good score against Nakamura too, so I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled that one off.
I was just going to say, let's make some predictions for the 3 games.
Ladies first.
Okay, so I was thinking I will go for a Rodian win, a Giri win, and a draw in Anand-Kramnik.
That's good predictions. Yeah, I'm also going with a draw in Anand-Kramnik. I'll go with a draw in Aronian-Nakamura. And Giri, let me study the position. Yeah, I also think he's gonna... Yeah, I think he's gonna win.
How difficult do you think for Anish? He's renowned to be a super solid player, and then he's been struggling severely here in Zurich. And it's the last, I think it's the last tournament any of the players who are participating in the candidates are playing. So how difficult do you think, how hard a blow is it for Anish?
Always hard to tell, but I don't think it's that severe because it is a different time control, one that he's not used to. So I don't think it's going to make him question his chess abilities all that much. It's always nicer to do well, but we've seen with Vichy he did terribly in that Gibraltar tournament, and he's doing well here. I don't think it's going to affect him all that much. But still, it's never nice to get outplayed, and he has been getting crushed by Vichy, by Kramnik. Can't have a good feel about it.
Yeah, that was the only game I managed to see was yesterday's 4th round. And I caught the moment in the end where this rook c7 stuff happened, and I thought it must not be very nice. And it's nice to have the camera at this time to see the players as well. I saw you've been trying to do some behavioral
I'm a body language doctor, yes. Not much to see yet. Levon Aronian taking his first think after they blitz out the opening. Hikaru, what is he wearing? Is that a jacket? I don't know, it's so dark, I can't tell.
Yeah, it must be a jacket, surely.
Yeah, looks like he's brought some winter clothes to the game, but probably it's just a jacket. Getting crushed is Jan's copyright? No, I'm pretty sure that's been used before me. Anyway, let me talk some chess. In the Anand-Kramnik d3 bishop c5, this is the most popular anti-Berlin. Big choice here for white between c3, bishop c6, which is fashionable. Vichy chooses the third move, castles, which is very solid, but it allows black to exchange this knight, which is always a bit of a problem piece in this structure. And if you can get rid of it for white's nice knight on f3, that brings you a bit closer to equality. There have been some discussions in this line recently. For example, Levon Aronian won a very nice game here on the black side against none other than Magnus Carlsen. I believe it was the same position. He played c6 here, bishop a4, and some move like a5 maybe. I think that's what Levon did. So we'll see if Kramnik tries to copy Aronian's idea. Normally Kramnik tends to go his own way. A little surprised he's taking time here. He must be very familiar with this position. But it's roughly equal in my opinion.
There was just a question in the chat about maybe we can remind everyone and you can remind me of what's going on exactly. So there were 5 games at this time control of 40 minutes plus 10 seconds. And there the points count double of what they're going to count at the Blitz tournament tonight.
That's correct.
So the Blitz tournament at 6 p.m. And what happens if after the Blitz 2 players are still tied for first? Will they share first place or will there be a tiebreak?
I hope they announced that in advance this year, because it was a big controversy last year where the rules weren't clear and Vichy and Nakamura were tied after all the events. And I think Vichy wasn't too happy when they announced they were gonna play an additional tiebreak, and there were some discussions about what rules. So I hope they clarified that in advance. I should know, but I don't. My best guess is that then they play a Blitz match to clarify the winner. And I'm sure probably it's mentioned on the official side, and I'm sure one of our dear viewers can answer this question too.
What did you I actually miss your prediction for the tournament victory? So I stuck with Kramnik, and did you stick with Nakamura?
I forgot what I predicted in the first place, but yeah, given the tournament situation, it's Nakamura or Vichy, so I'll choose Nakamura. Queen b3, knight b6 by Shirov. Might be theory, but it's a very strange square for this knight. I've never seen this move before. And I don't like it. The knight on b6 is always misplaced, is something a wise man once said. I don't know which wise man, probably Tarash or one of these guys.
Can you explain why it's misplaced on b6?
No, it's just a rule of thumb. But yeah. Generally, the closer to the side of the board the knight gets, the worse it is. And from b6, there is no square as -1 a7 or -1 a5, so you can't reach that many squares from there. Also, it's often awkward with the queenside situation. But of course, chess is a concrete game and sometimes it's not misplaced, but it's a useful rule of thumb. And especially here, I'm not sure what this knight is doing on b6. Of course, the idea was to not lose a pawn. Maybe Shirov mixed something up with the move order. To my mind, the most natural move is knight c5. Defending this pawn, the queen would go somewhere, and then white is playing to win a tempo later by hitting this knight, but I'm sure that's the theoretical continuation. Well, knight b6 I've never seen, and Giri probably has never seen it either. He's going to be contemplating knight to e5 or d3 or c takes d5, all of which look nice to me.
So you think an opening gone well for Anish?
Yeah, but you would expect that to happen, frankly, because Anish is a big theoretician, while Shirov, of course, he has his pet systems and he's a fantastic player, but he's not used to, like, super tournaments anymore. He doesn't play them so often, and against an opening freak like Anish, I'm not surprised if he gets into trouble out of the opening, even though it's a bit early to say after one move. They played a match against each other, when was it, last year in Hou Yifan, where Anish was just crushing Shirov in the opening every time. He had 3 white games, he won 2 of those, drew 1, but he had a good position there as well. So Anish likes playing white against Shirov.
I'm just having a look at the webcam and talking of great attacking players and great players in general. Is that Judith Polgar there on the right?
Yeah, she's been there every day. A lot of chess celebrity, I believe. Is it Jan Timman sitting next to her? Maybe
I think
not.
so. No, I also thought it was Jan Timman.
Karpov has been there, Korchnoi has been there.
Ullmann?
Ullmann I've seen yesterday, yeah. A lot of stars in Zurich in the Savoy Hotel.
Okay, so we're getting some information here about the tiebreak from Martin Winkel.
All right.
So he's saying, I'm looking at your screen because it's bigger. So tiebreak is points. I never know what it's called. Sonnenberger wins with black.
So
okay,
that
so
means there's no
match, if I understand
no games
correctly.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And they might change it. That's what they did last year, but probably not this time to avoid any awkwardness. Aronian, in the meantime, has agreed to the exchange of another pair of bishops. not that he really had a choice. This is a typical plan for Nakamura to go rook fc8, bishop d8, bishop c7, and get rid of this guy. The status quo remains unchanged. White has a bit of a space advantage, and some point in the future the c6 pawn can become a bit of a weakness. But this structure has been seen many times. Normally black holds his own here, but it's a nice risk-free sort of grinding position for Levon. The thing you have to decide with white is if you want to start pushing pawns on the king side at some point to create a second front, but of course it also exposes your king, so that's always a tricky question.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, on my level, looking at this position, it looks nice for white. Obviously, it has more space, yeah, some small edge, but then I'm thinking, if I was white, how would I proceed?
I don't know, knowing the next move, maybe b5, as Levon played. He's trying to create an immediate crisis on the queen side, because yeah, there's no breakthroughs there. The typical plan is to go f4 and then sometimes create an attack against the king, but that's a risky strategy. So Levon decides to open the situation on the queen side immediately. b5, what's going on? If b takes c5, what does he want?
Can he play something like knight a5? Is that...
I'm not sure, yeah, I was thinking about it too. I somehow don't quite believe it. I was even wondering if you could take this, sacrifice the exchange. That might be a little excessive, even though I'm not sure. c4 followed by c5, there might be compensation. But what else can you do? Knight a5, if queen b6, knight takes c6. Could be, yeah. It's interesting. Maybe that is his point, because else, after bc5, well, he could just take. I don't think white has achieved anything special here. He has his passed c-pawn, but it doesn't look like it's gonna queen anytime soon. So maybe knight a5 is his idea. We'll see how Hikaru reacts to it. He could also... I was going to say he could also take here first, but then queen takes b5. It's very unpleasant.
Interesting.
Very direct play by Levon.
What's going on? Anisha still... No, he's castled.
He went knight e5 to cover this pawn and attack the bishop. Shirov decided he didn't have time to withdraw it, so he defended it with knight f6. But giving up the bishop pair for free so early, I'm sure Anish is going to be happy to see. He took here, now he's castled. In this structure, typically white doesn't want to play d4, even though that will also give him an edge. But very often he wants to go d3 and then play for e4 to open this diagonal for the bishop. Very unpleasant position for Shirov, in my opinion. In the meantime, in Anand against Kramnik, they have made a few more moves. c3, bishop b6, knight a3. Kramnik started with castles here, which most guys have been reluctant to do, and I thought there was good reason for it, because if you castle, you allow this pin, which is tricky to meet because your bishop is on b6. If you can retreat your bishop to e7, it's normally not such a big deal. But in this position, I'm always scared of it and I like to avoid it, and that's why most players have started with something like c6, bishop c4, and now h6 or a5. Make a waiting move, because if you haven't castled yet, then bishop g5 is not... Oh, sorry, no, bishop c4, bishop a4. Because if you haven't castled yet, then bishop g5 is not that big of a deal, because black can always go g5 and d6. But with a king on g8, that's a different story.
To be honest, I'm a bit surprised by how much time the players have spent on this opening.
Yeah, Vichy, well, this position he knows. I would guess castle surprised him too, because that's not the normal move. But yeah, it's a bit of time, more than 10 minutes to play bishop g5 or to get to this position. It's a little strange. And maybe this time control is a bit deceptive, because it sounds like quite a lot of time, 40 minutes plus 10 seconds. But you think twice in the opening, then you have to calculate a bit in the middle game, and you're down to 10 minutes. can go very fast.
Yeah, there is this traditional tournament in Luxembourg where I come from, in Echternach, which has been going on for many years. It's a yearly tournament and great players have played there in the past, like Ivanchuk, just to name one. And it's played at the time control of 40 minutes without increment. And I haven't played there for many years, but I used to play there every year when I was young, and I was always very confused by this time control, because in the beginning you think, oh, I have plenty of time, and then suddenly you have to switch to rapid mode, and then suddenly you have to switch to blitz mode, and it's just a bit confusing.
It is, but I think it's mainly...
Have you ever played this time control, 40 minutes or 40 minutes plus increments?
No, when I was more active we used to play more without increments, so I think I've played rapid tournaments with 45 minutes per game. But 40 plus 10 seconds increment, no, I've never played that. I don't know. Vichy is very comfortable in all rapid controls, and Kramnik is deceptively strong also with shorter time controls. I checked the world rankings. He's up there both in rapid and in blitz. He can play any time control. My alarm is ringing because that's my normal time of waking up, 3:19 p.m. So apologies for that. And our friend Pramod is wondering if I'm speaking loudly or if you're speaking quietly, or both. I don't know.
I don't know. I always thought that I usually speak very loudly, but maybe, I've just come from some chess myself, a bit tired. Maybe I need to just speak up. We'll see. Let us know.
Kramnik probably knows this. Kramnik is... Well, he knows everything. He's incredibly well prepared, and this castles is a rare move. He's followed it up with d5, and I'm a bit curious to see what he has in mind. I was going to say a logical move for Vichy looks to be something like queen f3, but he's played even more directly. He took on d5, e takes d, and I guess his point is after queen takes d5, which is on the board, you could double the black pawns with bishop takes f6.
How much of a problem is that?
That is the question. I am not sure. It looks a little scary at first sight. Something like queen h5. But of course, long term, if there is no immediate attack on the king side, black did get the two bishops, and if he can stabilize something like queen e6.
Would be nice to get the knight to f5 quickly, but that's going to take some time.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not sure.
By the way, we also had some developments in Aronian-Nakamura.
Yeah, Nakamura took on a1, and after rook takes a1, he took on c5. Probably wanted to eliminate this idea of knight a5, because now he can just go queen, let's say a7. And this knight is pinned, and bc6, you have rook c6. So I guess that is his point. It's unclear how Levon wants to react to that. dc5, I'm wondering if black can just take here. I'm gonna blunder some back rank mate probably, but I don't see it. Because now the queen is under attack. Seems to work for black.
Yeah.
Not sure. Maybe Levon blundered this rook takes a1. It's a bit hard to believe,
Yeah,
but I don't see a good move for him.
Say, strange, hard to believe he would miss rook a1.
I think he might have. I think he's in trouble. b5 was a cute idea with this bc5. Knight a5 shot, but just rook takes a1, and now bc5. If knight a5, queen a8, pinning this knight. No, I believe Levon missed this.
Yeah, I'm starting to not like my prediction of 1-0 any longer. But we'll see. I mean, still, he's not
anywhere
lost,
close
to lost, but yeah.
But I think he's worse, which is not something you want out of this structure. Can we get... Let's study the camera. Is he shaking his head or holding his head, doing something? It's hard to see.
Nakamura surely has to be everyone's favorite player when it comes to watching someone on webcam.
I don't know, yeah, he's very much an open book. You can normally tell how he feels. But I think it's more fun to figure out like the subtle stuff with guys that are more stoic, like Vichy or Giri or even Kramnik. Try to figure out how they feel.
Who's your favorite player to watch?
I don't know, I quite enjoy watching Magnus as well. Like he does all this stuff I try to do as well, like leaning back and looking extra bored, and sometimes he does get very upset too. So I find him entertaining. Who else? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I'm struggling as well. Anand is very nervous. Is that right now?
I'm not sure he is. I don't think he is. He's gone bishop to c4, queen back to d7, knight to c2. He's on his way to the juicier squares. But Kramnik, I have a suspicion Kramnik is still in book. He's analyzed this. He's going to play something like queen g4. If he manages to exchange queens, then there's really no problem. And I don't see how white can avoid that. Queen d2, for example, queen could go to g5, offering the exchange from here. Once again, interesting contribution to opening theory. This might be well known, but it's not well known to me. This short castle is followed by d5 by Kramnik, because no one allows his bishop g5, so very curious about it.
Let me have another look at the tournament situation, because you said earlier either Anand or Hikaru was going to win it, but I wonder why you rule out Kramnik.
I don't know, I only read the first two and I did not realize Kramnik had the same number of points. Even though I do know he has 2.5 out of 4, but to translate it, to multiply it all by 2, sometimes is a bit tough. But yeah, Kramnik, I expect his game against Vichy to end in a draw, and then it comes down to blitz skill there. I thought Kramnik is a good blitzer, but Nakamura, if he's on fire, he can win a lot of games. So that makes him the favorite, but clearly any of these three still in the running.
But I think it would favor Nakamura, let's say, if they played each other twice in Blitz, if they played 10 rounds, because in 5 rounds, really anything can happen. A single loss might just throw you out of the runnings. So I think with as little as 5 games, it's really pretty much anyone's.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't actually recall. I've not seen Kramnik play Blitz very often. Unfortunately, I missed the opening Blitz. But yeah, Nakamura and Anand are probably more renowned.
Well, Kramnik is not bad. He almost won the World Blitz Championship last year. He was in the lead one round before the end.
Came second or third?
He finished, I think, third, shared with MVL and half a point behind Grishuk. But he came very close to winning. And in the world rankings, he's also up there in the top 5, top 6. So Kramnik he's pretty good at every time control, even at his advanced age. Half tongue-in-cheek, I know he's only 40.
And Aronian is still thinking. He's already down to 26 minutes, 10 minutes less than Nakamura. I think you're right. I think he might just have missed him.
That is very strange and a bit out of character, but yeah, Levon also not used to the time control, as we've seen in the first round. He won a nice game against Shirov in round number 4, but yeah, this is very uncharacteristic, because it's a cute idea, this BC knight a5, but it's not rocket science for a 2800 player that here you run into this pin, queen a8, and you can't execute your knight takes c6 idea. And now, yeah, he's in damage control mode. He's already looking for a way to draw this game. But I don't even think that's very easy.
So what do you think instead of b5? Do you think you should have maybe played on the king side instead?
Well, any move white can never be worse if you play any neutral move. Like typical maneuvers, yeah, are either pushing the pawns here, or sometimes, maybe not in this position, they try to regroup this knight to d3 as well, where it's a little better placed. But you can't do literally any move.
And there on screen we have a close-up of the spectators, and it is Jan Timman set there next to Judith Polgar. I hope that Judith will someday make some sort of comeback to chess.
I think if the money's right, she would come and play a match against Hou Yifan. You never know, but I asked her about it. She didn't rule it out. And why wouldn't she? I understand there's not that much for her left to achieve in chess, but Hou Yifan, if she gets stronger, reclaims the women's world champion title. That's a match people will want to see, and Judith will want to play it before she's out of it for too long.
Yep.
So if they find a sponsor, I would be.
And that women's world championship match is starting very soon, actually, just over 2 weeks to go.
That's right. Maria Muzychuk against Hou Yifan. She's had a good year, Maria Muzychuk. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for
exactly.
Hou Yi.
Because her last match, Hou Yifan played against Anna Oceanina, was just a total demolition. But I think this time it will be tougher. I'm curious to see, because last time when she beat Oceanina, they were playing in Ukraine as well, I think, or in China.
I can't remember.
I think they were playing in Ukraine. Because this time they are definitely playing in Ukraine, at least, on Maria Muzychuk's home turf. So again, it will be interesting. We talked about this many times. I think you're one of those who believe home turf is not an advantage in chess.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Will be interesting.
Yeah, Hou Yifan, of course, is a favorite. She's still more than 100 points higher rated, but it looks like the Ukrainians are taking that match very seriously. They didn't publish any of Muzychuk's games from the Ukrainian championship. Of course, lots of strong players there that can help her in the opening. Even against Oceanina, Hou Yifan got into trouble out of the opening once or twice, or a bit more than that, but she was just a much stronger player, so it didn't help Oceanina. But we'll see how the match goes. I'm curious. Then again, I don't think Hou Yifan cares that much if she's women's world champion or not. I think she knows she's the strongest women player in the world now that Judith is no longer active. And she has other goals, like reaching 2700, doing well in super tournaments and so on. But it's not that interesting.
Still, it's a world championship match. I mean...
No, of course she cares, and it's a prestigious title, but she's held it before. She didn't even play in the last women's world championship match, the knockout. She preferred a rapid tournament in Hawaii, which I'm sure is a nice place, and she was just honoring the commitment she had. But it also shows that, it's not life or death for her to have that title or not, because if they're gonna invite a female to Weigandsee, they would still invite Hou Yifan even if Muzychuk was world champion, as long as her rating is so much higher.
Do you want to do some body language reading? What do you make of Aronian there?
Yeah, I mean, the position reading really is enough in this case. He's gonna be very unhappy.
He looks very
He
happy.
looks relaxed. He understands that Levon has blundered, and he can just chill while Levon is trying to find a way out of this predicament. I'm not sure there is one. DC5, just take here. Such an endgame is normally lost. Tends to be a draw with 4 against 3, but with 5 against 4, there is so much material on the board. It's very tough to defend.
In endgames like that, can you tell me, I always wonder what pieces as an attacking side and as this defending side should I aim to keep on the board? If I'm a pawn down, should I try to exchange knights and go for the rook endgame, or should I keep knights?
Well, the normal rule of thumb is the defender should try to exchange pawns, and the attacker can often try to exchange pieces. Like, how did I do this? Sorry. Let's say here. Here, any pawn endgame, for example, is 1 for black. And any knight endgame is 1 for black too. The rook endgame is also 1, I believe, but trickier. So yeah, in general, it's hard to do here, but white would try to exchange as many pawns as he can. And black wouldn't mind piece exchanges.
Rest in Peace is asking why is 5 against 4 better than 4 against...
Well, as the attacker, you just want more material to work with, and yeah. It's like 1 against 0 in a rook endgame, for example, is almost... Well, tends to be a draw if the king is nearby. 2 against 1 is almost always a draw. 3 against 2 is a draw. 4 against 3 is already tricky. There's a lot of winning positions. 5 against 4 is normally winning, other things being equal. And so on and so forth. It's just, that if there's more units to work with, there's also more to attack and more tension to create. It strongly favors the attacker.
I think one of the games which impressed me most was, this is quite a few years back now, I think it was at the Amber tournament, Magnus Carlsen against Ponomarev, if I recall correctly, and Magnus won 4 against 4, 5 against 5 from a completely symmetrical position. So I thought if people like Ponomarev can lose something like that, then those endgames can be quite tricky.
Yeah, it was a 4 against 4. It was still freak accident for Ponomarev to lose it, but that's what Magnus does. He doesn't care if the position is objectively a draw. He just makes you work for it. And Levon Aronian, yeah, there we see him not having a lot of fun.
Nakamura even got up from the board. How much of walking around have the players been doing at this time control?
Not a lot. They tend to be on the board. I think that's an exception. If you feel like your opponent is going to take a long time out, you can take a moment to check out the others' games. It's also the final round, so Nakamura, of course, going to be interested. What's happening in Anand against Kramnik.
By the way, Pramod in the chat is saying Nakamura has the best endgame technique after Magnus. Do you agree with that?
I don't know. Kramnik's pretty good at endgames. Vishy's pretty good at endgames, amazing at defending endgames. Shirov is very good at endgames too. All these guys are. Like Nakamura is great at calculating, and that often translates to endgames, but I don't know. I've never seen him as an endgame specialist. He's just a universal player. So, no, I don't think I agree. No, Levon has played knight a5, queen a8 on the board. And I don't know what he wants to do. I really don't. bc6, rook c6. Then rook a6 is coming, so you can't do that. Maybe he has to go back, knight b3. Hope for the move repetition, but of course that's not gonna happen. So queen b8 will be played. And no, it's grim. It's probably gonna come down to one of these endgames. But I do think this is objectively lost. Unless you have some tricks here, but knight d6, for example, which would be nice. Because if the rook had to go, we would have a check, and then this would fall. That's just knight takes b3, attacking the rook, so you can't do that. He probably has to try to defend some position like this, but it does
I mean,
not
it's
prevent.
not an endgame you want to be defending when 5 moves ago you just had a pleasant position with a small space advantage and a nice and comfortable edge.
No, he blundered with b5.
Yeah. By the way, there's another question in the chat, Jan and Fiona. After the candidates, which tournaments remaining in 2016 will be considered the most prestigious?
I know, they have a World Championship match, right? That's pretty prestigious.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering if maybe his question implied that was a match rather than a tournament, because the World Championship match would be the obvious answer. There's the Olympiad. Again, I don't know if you could consider that. If you consider that a tournament, but I think if you discard the match, then the Olympiad is probably the biggest event of the year after the candidates. I read this interview with Kramnik where he said he will be playing and he really wants to win the title with Russia this year. They famously haven't won an Olympiad since 2002, so it will be interesting. I'm interested to see what team Russia is fielding, because they have so many strong players that.
Yeah, but they tend to have their regulars. It's going to be Kramnik, it's going to be Kayakin, it's going to be Grishuk, most likely Svidler, and then that leaves one spot open where you could choose lots of players. Yakovenko.
But then when they won the European teams last year, it was Yakovenko, Tomaszewski, Nepomniachtchi. Kramnik wasn't there. So many people weren't.
Yeah, but Kramnik and Kayakin didn't play, I believe.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure if Kayakin played actually.
No, he didn't play, no.
And normally those are staples in the team, even though, yeah, Tomaszewski, Yakovenko, Vityugov, all these guys are close in rating. And they like having Nepomniachtchi for his sharper style on board 5. But yeah, I would expect these 4, Kramnik, Kayakin, Grishuk, Svidler, and then one spot which they will determine according to form. I could be wrong, like I don't know how this works. I know they left Svidler off the team once, he wasn't very happy, but he's been back. We will see. But of course Russia is no longer the sole superpower in chess. China has, I don't know, like 8 players, 2,700 plus now, so they can field a super strong team, the defending champions. The USA has Nakamura, So, and Fabiano Caruana, so that's 3 top 10 players in their team. Ukraine is always strong, Armenia is always strong, Luxembourg is always a force to be reckoned with, so you never know what's going to happen.
Talking of the American team, I saw a couple of days ago they published a participation list for the US Championship, and these three players will all be playing Nakamura, So, and Caruana, which means they won't be playing in Norway chess. I believe that list is still to be. There's still 3 players to be announced, if I'm not mistaken.
4. I know 3, and yeah, they have the qualifier.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, that's interesting. And also, if you're not aware, I think Kasparov will be playing. Not you, if you people out there are not aware, Kasparov will be playing round robin Blitz tournament against the top 3 finishers
Of the US Championship.
Of the US Championship, yeah. So we could theoretically see a fun tournament, but still would be very interesting to watch a Blitz tournament between Kasparov, So, Nakamura, and Caruana.
Yeah, I'm sure Kasparov's already preparing. He's thinking, these suckers, they have the candidates tournament and the US Championship. All I'm preparing for is that Blitz event directly after the US Championship when they're all tired. But no, it's always good to see Kasparov in action. Gonna be fun. So yeah, we're gonna abandon the sufferings of Livan Aronian for a minute and switch to the top game of the round, actually. Anand-Kramnik. Kramnik played this queen g4 in order to exchange queens. Anand went d4. Queen takes, rook takes, bishop to g4, rook to d2, e takes d4. Kramnik's gonna defend this without any problems. He has a worse pawn structure, but he has the 2 bishops. And yeah, it's gonna end in a draw. Probably knight takes d4, rook to d8. I can't see a universe where Kramnik loses this, really. Bishop goes back here.
If anyone had to be better here, is it white because of the pawn structure, or does the bishop pair completely make up for the damaged pawn structure?
I know, I think it's equal.
If you had to pick someone, would you rather be white or black?
I'd be confident I can make a draw with either color, but yeah, probably I'd choose. That's equal. Guess I'd choose black, but I like the 2 bishops. I'm not sure there is any objective winning chances.
Let's say you were facing a much weaker opponent. With which color would you fancy your winning chances more?
Doesn't matter. It's an equal position. Like both sides have their pluses. If white manages to exchange the light square bishops, he's gonna be better if he manages to put a knight on f5. Black manages to exchange, let's say, a pair of rooks, then black's gonna be better because of the bishop pair. But objectively, it's just equal.
Is there a no draw rule in force in the tournament?
I don't think so. No, it's a rapid event. But I haven't seen any quick draws, so I don't think it's been an issue. And in general, yeah, if it's a rapid event, there's no classical rating at stake. I know the idea is to make this a new classical time control, but as long as it's not, players are less cautious about protecting their rating, and you tend to get more fighting chess, but also more mistakes, and they take it a little less seriously, I believe.
Talking of which, is this officially a rapid time control? Did this tournament count for the FIDE rapid ratings?
I would guess so, yeah. You can't count it. For classical, that's not an accepted time control yet, and also with the double rounds.
I was just wondering if it might be too long for rapid, but
no.
Okay, let's go to Giri, maybe. We haven't had a look at his game in a while.
Where is he? Mr. Anish. Magically, he managed to simplify to an endgame. He's been doing that a lot, but it hasn't been going very well for him. I liked his position out of the opening, but somehow his d4 move is very strange. I don't get it. Problem with it is now black can offer the exchange of bishops, and without the bishops, this bishop is not very strong. So Shirov solves all his problems. I'm not sure, maybe bishop g5 was already a problem. Something had gone wrong earlier. Maybe he had to play a move like queen c2 here first, when white has to be better. But after d4, bishop g5 takes, a4, rook b8, e4. Knight c4 threatening to jump here. Looks like Shirov has solved all of his problems, or most of his problems. A5, knight d5. Unless a6 is very strong here. Not sure, maybe you can just take it. Takes. And yeah, Giri hasn't done it. He's played knight c5. But his play in this tournament is a little lackluster. Let's say knight c5, you just take rook c5, even knight to b4 to stop any knight a6. To stop any a6 breakthroughs. Shirov's not going to lose this. You don't have to go knight b4 either. You can just go rook d8. So yeah. No problems whatsoever for Alexei Shirov. I guess this game is going to end in a draw, adding fuel to the Giri fans out there. They gave him a new nickname. They call him the artist because he likes to draw. Which, of course, I'm the main Giri defender. I still thought it was funny.
Actually, it's good that you re-explained this, because I was half listening to your commentary last night and I heard you mention something about the artist, but I missed the point completely, so it's good to have heard it again.
What I'm wondering though, the Giri haters out there, do you prefer if he draws because it proves your worldview, or do you prefer if he loses, which because then he has to suffer, even though it's harder to say he draws every game if he loses some games.
I noticed last night at least Anish was still joking on Facebook. I saw he had a little message from our very own Miss Tactic saying, "I love you," and he replied saying, "Still?" Question
Yeah,
mark.
I read that too.
So
I stalk these full time on Facebook. But it's hard to avoid them. You just log into Facebook. You're not looking for anything Miss Tactics, Anish related. There's always something, some photos.
So yeah, it's good to see that seems to take it reasonably well, at least.
Yeah, well, no one likes to lose, but
Yeah.
I think, first of all, they all see this as a bit of warm-up without the candidates, which is not to disrespect the tournament, but of course 1 month before you can qualify for match against the world champion. People use this to get practice, and since it's not rated for classical time control, normally at least, I still think that's the thinking among most chess players. They care about their classical rating, they're not that interested in the other ratings. That might change, but that is the status quo. Which is why I believe the Zurich sponsor also wanted to have this time control as a classical time control, because he knows that as long as it's not rated for classical players, they care and they take it seriously, but they're not that obsessed with it.
By the way, the Giri haters seem to always be seeking confirmation of their world view.
So they want a draw, not a loss.
Yeah.
Understood. And I think their wish will be granted in this game. You could just simplify here with a6, and I believe you should before Shirov gets time to play a6 himself, then put a rook on d8, when all of a sudden black could be a bit better. So I believe you want to go a6 takes, rook takes c6, rook takes b2, rook takes a6. And whatever, rook d2, rook a7, rook d4. When the artist would draw again. I should stop doing that. Yeah, Anand-Kramnik also looks very equal to me. That leaves us with the trials and tribulations of the young Levon after c takes b5. He's played queen to d4, hanging on to the c5 pawn for now. But he's a pawn down for not much. And black has many tempting moves. b4 being one of them, e5 another. b4 looks very logical. I guess he wants to go knight to a2, target this guy. Now knight e4. No, Levon's in trouble, and yeah, that's a rare blunder. We've seen a rare loss in 20 moves by him in the first round, and today a very rare blunder with 21 b5. His idea was if takes knight to a5, but he just missed. That you can go rook takes a1, rook takes a1, and now takes. And after knight a5, this knight gets pinned by queen a8, and therefore he lost a pawn.
I hope that at least Anand-Kramnik will draw, otherwise I might get my 3 predictions wrong.
They will draw. They're reliable drawing each other. Don't you worry.
Someone in the chat was wondering if White could have played f3 instead of h3 here.
Yep, that's a legal move. But it does not change the status quo. This bishop can go here or even here using the pin. Yeah, doesn't really change anything. Now White wants to exchange light square bishops. Bishop e2, but I believe Kramnik should just keep those. Bishop g6, bishop d3. At the very least he could take here. Yeah, there's nothing there. While Giri has played a6 as expected, b takes a6. He's gonna go rook takes c6 and a lot of material will come off. Even though he could maybe try, but no, it also doesn't change anything to hang on to this b pawn. But then just rook d8 targeting this guy.
I'm still watching the Giri haters in the chat, the Giri haters sapiens.
Giri haters sapiens, yeah, it's a huge species Anish has created at age 21. He's already married 2800 and has created a loyal following of people that hate him and his chess style. That is very impressive.
Do you think in a way he's happy with having achieved that?
I don't know. I think everyone wants to be liked, him included, but he's not shy about speaking his mind, and I think he understands that you can't please everyone, either with your chess or with your opinions. Sometimes he pushes it a bit also with his rivals, like the trash talk with Magnus and so on. I think he enjoys all of this stuff, but no one enjoys losing, and especially Anish. That's why he plays so solidly.
Someone's asking us about our opinion of the decision of the Grand Chess Tour to replace Norway Chess with 2 Rapid and Blitz events. Well, first of all, it has to be said it wasn't their decision. It was Norway Chess' decision to leave the tour. As of these new tournaments, what do you think?
I haven't heard much. It's 2 Rapid Blitz tournaments in the summer in France or something?
One in Paris and one in Brussels in Belgium.
I don't know, it's a little strange to me. I have to read up on it. But yeah, if you want to have a tour of 3 tournaments and then one of them or 2 of them are at a different time control, I find it strange. How do you have an overall score? And we'll see how it goes. Maybe it's going to be great events, but for now, yeah, it would have seemed more natural to have another super tournament if you get rid of Norway Chess with a classical time control. But I'm not well informed, so I have to read up on it. What I do know is that Norway Chess is happening as a standalone tournament in April, starting on the 19th. Yeah, I think they've announced 6 of the players, as you mentioned, are still in talks with 3 others. Won't be the Americans. And regarding the Grand Chess Tour, we shall see. Like, I thought it was a great idea at the very least last year. I didn't like their tiebreak system and so on. It got a little ugly there at the end of London. But yeah, they probably didn't expect Norway Chess to drop out and had to replace it quickly. I'm surprised. I don't know what happened behind the scenes.
It wasn't so easy to replace it because this year we are a bit short of super tournaments of the level of London Chess, because Shamkir, the Gashimov Memorial, doesn't seem to be happening. The Grenke Baden-Baden tournament only takes place every 2nd year, so it was not so easy to think of a tournament that could actually join the tour.
Back to a bit of chess. After bishop e2, Kramnik decided to just keep things simple. He could have played bishop g6, nothing wrong with that. But maybe he didn't like bishop g4 or whatnot. And he decided to just exchange everything. Rook takes e2, bishop takes d4, rook takes d4, rook takes d4. With a drawn rook endgame, like these weaknesses cancel each other out. It's just a draw. I guess king f8 is the easiest way to play to guard the e7 square, even though rook d8 should lead to simplifications. 2 after rook e7, rook d4, rook c7, whatever, rook b4.
It's always interesting for me to see in those kind of endgames at what point players shake hands and agree a draw.
Well, here it's very simple to get rid of more material, so I think they're gonna do something like this. And and agree to draw once there's only 3 versus 3 left.
Yeah, this seems to be happening.
Yeah, we're all big professionals at reaching a dead drawn position, so you can shake hands. And yeah, I think they're gonna play some more moves. Rook b4 or rook d1 followed by rook. Oh no, that's actually risky. I was gonna say rook d1 followed by rook d2, but then rook takes b7. All of a sudden, white has some chances. Rook takes f2. With these 2 against 1, you don't want to allow that. But yeah.
Yeah, he's gone rook b4
Rook
instead.
b4 is very easy, and if white wanted to play on a little bit, he could go rook c2, which is also a draw, but he would have this advantage on paper of the better pawn structure. But he's played b3, which is sort of inviting this a5, a4 push, and I would expect that to happen and the game to be over soon.
What about Aronian? I predicted a white win, which is definitely not happening any longer. You predicted a draw. Do you think Levin still has some chances of holding, or do you think Nakamura is going to win?
I think Nakamura is going to win. There are chances to survive this, but not without suffering. And also, if we look at the clock, Levin has played badly and slowly, which tends to be a bad combination. You can do either of the two, but both tends to be too much. And yeah, he's down. I'm not sure if the clock is correct, it just jumped somewhere, but he's down to 7 minutes against 30 for Nakamura, and to defend a slightly worse endgame with very little time on the clock, he's not going to be able to do it.
And in the Giri game, is there anything?
No, they expertly proceed along the path I mentioned of exchanging all the pawns. Rook c6, rook b2, rook a6, rook d2, d5, rook d8. Avoiding knight takes d5, rook d6. Maybe that was the last trap. But rook d8 stops that. Rook b1. Knight takes d5. And you could either take on a7 or you could take here. Takes here. And we're headed to another 3 versus 3 rook endgame.
Just having a look at the camera. So on the left, that's Nakamura's stepfather.
Yeah, I've been calling him that. I'm not sure if that's the accurate term, but I think it is Sunil Viramantri. The chess coach from the US, had a big hand, of course, in Hikaru's upbringing and chess education, and is sitting there rooting for him. Who's that to his right? My eyes
that's
are
what
not
I
good
was
enough.
just.
It's not Ulma,
They were
is it?
just
No.
on full screen, and I wasn't sure who it was, but too late now. Maybe we'll get another question from Entropist. Jan, what tournament will you play next?
Play Thailand Open in April. Maybe 1 or 2 Bundesliga games, I'm not sure about that yet, but yeah, the Thailand Open in Bangkok this year, starting on April 11th. Highly recommend it. It's the nicest open tournament in the world, at least to my mind, so I can recommend it.
About the tournament, if we quickly go back to the standings, so if Hikaru wins and Vishy and Kramnik draw, that means Hikaru is joining Vishy
That is
in
correct.
shared first place. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this Blitz tournament. Again, if you missed it, there is a Blitz tournament tonight at 6 p.m. Central European time. Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I think I call it GMT +1, but I normally just say German time. It's in 2 hours. You can remember it like that.
Yeah, I haven't changed my computer times yet. I was in England this weekend, so I'll do that 2 hours from now. And yeah, I'm very excited to, not just to see it, but also I've never done commentary on a Blitz tournament before, so it's going to be interesting. You were doing commentary on the first Blitz.
Yeah.
How did that go? I mean, how was the tournament?
I have no idea. I quite like it. It's hard to follow all the games at once, but if you just choose one game and then talk nonsense about it, I quite enjoy it. There's a lot of action.
There's a question you can maybe answer, a question from Pramod. I mean, your alarm was ringing half an hour ago.
Yeah, 3:19.
He's asking, why do all these chess professionals wake up so late?
I think, first of all, that was a joke. I don't wake up at 3:19. And secondly, players just adjust their biorhythm to whatever time the game starts. Like studies have shown that you're at your most alert 5 hours after waking up. So you do the math. If you have a game starting at 3, that can take 4 or 5 hours. It doesn't make a lot of sense to wake up at 8 a.m. and then go to the game at 3. So a lot of players like Kramnik or Carlsen, they choose to sleep till very late. They wake up at 1, get something to eat. So they're at their fittest when the game is ongoing. Some others have a different strategy. They wake up in the morning at 9, have breakfast, do a bit of preparation, and then take a nap for an hour before the game. But it's mainly, that during tournaments to adjust to your schedule so you're fittest during play. And else, I think it's the same like anybody who doesn't have to go to work early, like any student will know this. If you don't have a reason to get up early or to go to sleep early, your rhythm just changes backwards.
I'm just interrupting you because we see Anish and Shirov placing the kings there in the middle of the board, signaling a draw in that game.
No surprise there.
No. I think that Anish won't be very happy. So they share last place with 3 out of 10 or 1.5 out of 5. It'll be interesting how they fare in the Blitz tournament tonight. I think Anish will want to try and make a point that he is actually better than what he's been showing and also get his confidence levels up a bit. Before.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy though. Anish is not well known as a Blitz specialist. Of course, he's good at Blitz, but he doesn't specialize in it. And some of the other guys do, like Nakamura. Kramnik is good at Blitz, Anand is good at Blitz, Aronian is a former Blitz world champion. While Anish doesn't have that much at stake, of course he's going to want to do well, but it won't be easy. Someone's asking about the computer evaluation in Anand-Kramnik, which says that white is much better. I haven't seen the evaluation, but yeah, the computer tends to be wrong. In these Rugan games, whenever there's double pawns, it gets very excited. It is pretty much a dead draw. Here, there was one spot I was talking about, some a4 earlier. I believe Kramnik avoided that because of rook c4, when I'm not 100% sure, but this pawn endgame could be dangerous, and therefore he doesn't want to do that. Instead, he played b5, stopping rook c4, and now next move is going to be a4.
I find it interesting how we don't have pawn endings very often on the top level, and then I was very surprised when in Gibraltar Vichy actually lost that pawn ending against Benjamin Gledura from Hungary. I always think it would be and also in Vaikanze when Hou Yifan misevaluated the pawn ending against Magnus Carlsen. So I always think it would be interesting to see more pawn endings, and I'm surprised how even top players go wrong in pawn endings.
Yeah, it's a practical thing. As you say, you don't get them very often. And it's a bit of its own world with its own weird little rules that doesn't apply to general chess understanding, so most people don't spend much time on it. And most pawnings you get are just very easy, clearly drawn or clearly lost. So there, we had 2 exceptions recently, even though the Vichy endgame was kind of well known and it was kind of possible to see with bare eyes that was losing. There was just not a very good game for him and a very good tournament. And the Hou Yifan game, that was much more complicated, but that was the exception. But I believe there's lots of literature out there, but well, I'm always a cynic about studying endgames. I think it's
I was just going to ask, how much, especially in pawn endgames, how much do you think is knowledge, just pure knowledge, and how much is calculation?
I don't know, it's mainly calculation, but it helps if you know some stuff, then you don't have to calculate, because you already know. But I don't know a lot about pawn endgames. I know if there's one pawn and it goes to b3, then you have to put your king on b1, because then after king c3 you can go king c1, b2 check, king b1, king b3, and stalemate. Well, if you don't go to b1 but to c1, you're going to lose. What else do I know? No, I think that is it. And it's supposed to be good to have the opposition, but then there's weird stuff with like the long distance opposition, so I never really mastered that concept.
Yeah, I tried. There was a time maybe 2 years ago where I got a sudden rush of motivation, and I thought I'd look into pawn endings, and I took Mr. Dvoretsky's book and I got as far as correlating fields or something, and I realized it's just a bit too much for me.
Yeah, I don't have a clue. They also draw like weird, weird diagrams like that, and they say whatever. If your king is here and your pawn is here, then you're still in the square, and therefore it's a draw. I don't understand any of those rules. I normally try to just count a4. I go king f8, a5. I go king e8, a6. I go king d8, a7. I go king c8. Oh, and I'm not in time. He goes a8 queen. But there's all kinds of like weird squares you can draw to figure that out. Probably something like this. But now, what have I learned? I still don't know anything. Anyway, yeah, check out Pawn Endings. Lots of great books about it out there. While Anand-Kramnik have not made it to a pawn endgame, as mentioned, they would find a way to exchange the queenside pawns, and they've agreed to draw. No surprises there. Tends to be a pretty safe bet. If Anand plays against Kramnik, check out their results over the last couple of years. Draw is a big favorite.
Which leaves us with just one game to go. Mr. Aronian against Nakamura. Nakamura taking some time for the first... It's the first time he's been thinking for a while in this game, actually.
Yeah, he's trying to make up his mind. Queen b5 looks like the most obvious move to me. But he has many options. He could go queen e5. He could go e5, knight to e4, rook c6. A lot of possibilities. What's Levon's nickname? I wasn't sure yesterday. What do you call him? What do people call him?
I'm afraid I've been doing a lot of, especially before I started working in chess, I've done a lot of watching Chess Bomb because the trolls are very, very active on Chess Bomb, but I'm afraid they are not very nice nicknames, especially because they came at a time when Levon wasn't doing very well.
What's that, Lemon Aronian?
Yeah. You do know your trolls as well.
Of course. Now, I used to call Levon Patzele, but he didn't like that either, and he said, no, I call other people Patzele. You as a Patzer have no right to call me Patzele. So I accepted that, and I started calling him Dr. Levon since, which he likes better. And Hikaru also doesn't really have many nicknames, right? I think his name is colorful enough,
Yeah.
at least to us Europeans, so he doesn't need many nicknames.
Isn't there something like H-bomb or something? The H-bomb?
Maybe, yeah. But I don't like it. You could use it for anybody whose first name starts with H, right?
Yeah. I mean, also, as you pointed out yesterday, I saw that on the show. I think Hikaru Nakamura is quite a cool name.
Do you watch Heroes, the TV program?
I'm afraid not. I think we already established we have no common ground.
No, I'm asking
that
because
area.
there's a character called Hiro Nakamura.
Okay.
So whenever I see Hiro Nakamura, I have to think of Hikaru Nakamura. But Hiro Nakamura is a little more soft-spoken than Hikaru. And he can travel time. So he probably would crush Hikaru in chess by just traveling back and forth in time and then checking the computer evaluation. He played queen b5 as I suggested. He's very good at chess. Yeah, Levon's in real big trouble. He could try to remove his queen to prepare some knight d4 move. But Black always has e5 to control this square. I believe he's just gonna lose without...
Also, as you pointed out, it's not very pleasant to defend an endgame when you're pawn down in the first place, but it's even less pleasant when you have 5 minutes on the clock against 20.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna be fun. Maybe you have to go f4 to stop e5, but that also gives up this square. And there's threats of rook a8. No, it's just horrible suffering. And yeah, Levon's paying the price for going b5, which really was a lemon. And no, I think he's gonna lose. Which brings me to the next important question. This is a topic we always have to discuss. If you had to choose one participant to join you on a deserted island, both to improve your survival chances but also as good company, whom would you choose out of the Zurich participants?
I think I'd go for Levon.
I thought so too. I think Levon has many advantages. I think he's a practical guy, so he probably can like figure out how to build a raft. I think he's very solid physically, so he can do some work. And yeah, he's also well educated, speaks many languages. Because if you take someone who doesn't speak Russian, for example, and then a ship arrives, but it's only like Russian Russian dudes on it, then you're stuck there with Vichy. There's really not that much you can do. So you need someone who at least brings some languages I don't speak. Even though Vichy probably speaks languages I don't speak. But I thought that was important.
You know, I could see Levon do well. And also, he sometimes posts some holiday pictures. He seems to travel quite a lot. So I think he will have a lot of experience with different environments as well. And
Well, he's also very well read, so I'm
Yeah.
sure he's read all the books on the topic, like Robinson Crusoe, Treasure Island, Mutiny on the Bounty, all that stuff. So yeah, I believe he could come in handy. He's probably watched Lost, the TV show, as well. About the others,
who would be the last person you'd pick?
oh, that's always tougher because it's gonna sound like I dislike them. Let's who do we have? We have Kramnik. I think Kramnik is a decent choice, but I have a feeling that Kramnik is more of a brainy guy. I'm not sure how practical he would be when it comes
He's
to
so-
constructing the raft.
Yeah, and I wonder. I think from a point of view, if I was on an island by myself and some wild animals started attacking me, I mean, Kramnik is huge. He's
That is
really
true. He
good.
is the tallest.
But I wonder, is he like he looks like he would make a good bodyguard in a way.
I don't know.
But I'm not
He's
sure
probably in
how
decent
much
shape.
so on a desert island.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean,
Vichy-
Shirov also. Shirov is actually very tall as well.
Shirov looks very strong physically.
Yeah.
Shirov had this one James Bond picture where he came out of the water. He looked to be in excellent shape. Vichy is also in good shape. He works out, he has to, because he's, yeah, older than most of his rivals, so he has to stay in good physical shape to play all these tournaments. Vichy, I'm also not sure how much like construction work he's done in his life. And I have a feeling, which might be completely wrong, that Levon is the most gifted at that stuff. Hikaru, I think he would be good at surviving. I just think he's so ruthless, he would probably leave me behind. Like, I wouldn't blame him, but I have a feeling Levon would look out for me more.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, I'm not a Anish hater or anything. I actually quite like Anish, but he'd probably be my last choice because I would be worried if there was a blow of wind, he might just be blown away and I'd find myself all alone. So
I don't know, Anish, if you survive though, he could do all the writing duties. I think he's a very good writer, so to write the story of our heroic survival and to make it sound exciting, you want Anish there.
I think he would also make for good company. I think he is actually very, very funny and witty. So
I'm a big fan, I keep saying that. But yeah, the problem is I'm more friendly, or I know Levon and Anish better than the other guys. Vichy, I also know Vichy's done stuff for us. He's also very good company.
who would start the fire? Who would know how to start a fire? Very important.
I'm assuming like I have a lighter on me. I always have a lighter on me, like even if I get lost there, so I wouldn't be worried about that. Else I've seen the Revenant and stuff, so I've seen the technique with the stones, but I think it would take one. And also, normally they catch fish with their bare hands. At some point during these deserted islands, maybe you need someone with small hands that actually might help to catch the fish. So that's a point in Anish's favor, I would guess.
Although doesn't you said you need small hands?
I would guess so, right?
Yeah,
Because
but
they're
I
so
think Anish has
slippery.
quite big hands.
Maybe, I've never paid much attention to it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I was just looking at things from that point of view because I'm a vegetarian myself, but I think if I'm on a desert island, if I want to live, I'll probably have to eat some animals someday. I can't just sit there and eat grass. So I was wondering who would, because I would make a terrible hunter. Who of them would be the best hunter?
I don't know, somehow Shirov strikes me as the best hunter. I have no idea, but you just get the impression, like he's a big, strong guy, that he would know a bit about hunting. Levon, I think, is the most well-read, so once again, I think he's read books on the topic. You also have to factor in who's the most likely to eat you, like if things don't go well. So you don't want that to happen. And on the other hand, if you have to eat the other guy, like you probably want someone who's heavier than Anish so you can survive for more than a week. I don't know, there's many factors, but I think we can agree on Levon.
Yeah, also one of my favorite, we already discussed that I'm not big on movies, but a movie I really liked was Into the Wild, where the main protagonist dies in the end because he's eaten a poisonous plan.
I've seen that movie, like every movie. The lesson learned is you can't find happiness alone. Who would have thought? I don't know if it counts though, if you're sort of alone, but there's people watching you on the internet. Is that alone or is that company?
By the way, someone picked up on me being a vegetarian. It's true. Vishy, I think, is a vegetarian too. So
That is true. Yeah, he's useless on that
yeah.
deserted island. Who else? Alevo might be vegetarian. Or no, I don't think he is. Hikaru really likes his sushi. We've had many sushi discussions. Also Anish, like I've been telling both of these guys, they're very pretentious for saying sushi is the best thing ever. All I want is to eat sashimi for the rest of my life. I'm not buying any of it. But then again, if they're used to sushi, they're probably going to be more motivated to catch the fish. You don't have to cook them, they want their sushi anyway. I don't know. What do you guys think? Keep us posted. As for the game, Levon's gonna lose, so we have plenty time to discuss this situation. What's happening? F3, can I take? Gotta be a little careful with pins.
I think someone was suggesting if you were on an island with Muzychuk, he might kill you to get your cigarettes.
That would be a problem, but I don't know. Even as a smoker, I think the food situation would trouble me more than the cigarette situation. At least until it's resolved, then it becomes a different story. No, Muzychuk would be an excellent choice. I'd love to be there with Muzychuk. He's tall, so he can catch all these coconuts. I don't have to do it all myself. He's a very funny guy, he's good company. He strikes me as robust physically. No, Muzychuk would be great, but he's not one of the choices.
Yeah.
Anyway, after f3, I'm still confused if you can't take this pawn, but I have a feeling you can't.
By the way, while we were talking, Levon actually got down to 17 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, he's in trouble on the clock and on the board. But this does not seem to work. His next move is queen c2, picking up this poor knight. So it might have to go somewhere else. You could go knight c3. Takes, queen takes. But even here, after knight takes c5, there's rook c1. Might have missed f3. It's not the end of the world. You can just go back and you still have, or you can go to g3, turning to go to f5. You still have a pretty huge advantage, but I don't think that was his plan.
It would be interesting to see Hikaru on camera because he's one of those guys. I think when he misses a move, you can tell it quite clearly.
Yeah, he's an open book.
Yeah. Do you think that's a disadvantage?
I don't know. In chess, like, there's complete information on the board, so both guys pretty much know what's happening. I don't think it's a big disadvantage. Kasparov and Carlsen are also like that, and they've been doing all right for themselves, so no, I don't think it's a disadvantage, because it also sort of can irritate the opponent a bit, and sometimes they get into their head with their antics, so I don't know. No, I don't think it's a disadvantage.
How much of a disadvantage is it playing this position with just on increment?
That's a problem, but they've gone down this forcing line, and I'm not sure what I've missed, because I thought this pin was a problem, but yeah. Rook c7 is this point. Preparing knight a6. Yeah, I thought queen c2, but now you have knight to a6, or even knight takes b3. So if there's no tricks, he's just gonna be 2 pawns down. You have to act queen e5 maybe. Queen e5, queen b6. Yeah, that seems to work. Queen e5 has been played, queen b6. And if queen d4, the point is knight to a4, rook takes c7, queen takes c7, or queen takes b6. It's Zwischenschach on c1, winning. Yeah, this was the key line which had to be calculated. Queen b6, Levon's played f4, but that's more or less resigns. It's just desperation. He's trying to create something here, but Hikaru could go knight a6 just to stabilize when he's 2 pawns up. Rook a1, Levon's still looking for tricks, but not gonna be able to do it. Rook c3 or any move.
Yeah, we'll probably have a result here fairly soon. A poor return for me here to the office with 1 out of 3. The last time I was doing commentary here, I incredibly got my 7 predictions right for Weiganse.
Wow.
And now I come back and I got 1 out of 3, so it's a bit disappointing.
Oh, I always get them all wrong.
Someone's asking me whether I know when the rapid tournaments in Brussels is taking place of the Grand Chester. I think I actually happen to know because I realized I could maybe go and watch the tournament in Paris because that starts the day the French league ends, which I'm playing. So the tournament in Paris is from 8 June. I believe they're both 4 or 5 days. 8 June until 13, and then I think Brussels starts the next day actually, so around 14 or 15th of June. So rough guess is 15 June until
They're
20th
back-to-back, the tournaments?
Yeah,
Wow.
which I was very surprised to see. Okay, there's a question we have to answer because I've seen it come up about 5 times now. What was your initial FIDE rating when you started playing chess?
Got a reward asking 5 times. My first FIDE rating was 2185. That was in the days, first you needed 2200 and then they lowered it to 2000. So I think I was right in that period. I got 2185 as my first rating, but it grew quickly.
I was devastated. I got a FIDE rating of 1936 in 2002, so I was 13. And then after a few months, I received an email from FIDE saying, oh, we've made a mistake. You shouldn't actually have gotten a FIDE rating, and they took it away from me. And then I got another FIDE rating 2 years later, which was about 100 points lower. And there we see Resigning.
Yeah, Levon resigned 3 points down now, and bad things were about to happen on this long diagonal. So no surprises there. The big surprise was that he did in fact blunder with 21b5, leading to the only decisive game of the round. That means in the standings that Hikaru-Nakamura catches Vishy Anand in the lead, 7 out of 10 for both of them. You know, let me try to bring it up, but I'm gonna work on that for a while. 7 out of 10 for Nakamura and Anand, 6 out of 10 for Anand-Kramnik, 4 out of 10 for Levon Aronian, and 3 out of 10 for Anand-Giri and Alexei Shirov.
I think that pretty much makes it a 3-horse race for tournament victory for later tonight. I don't think Levon, Alexei Shirov or Anand-Giri can have such a great performance in the Blitz. They would have to win everything, pretty much.
Yeah, no chance whatsoever.
So the tournament will be decided between Hikaru-Nakamura, who is famously one of the very, very best Blitz players in the world, Vishy Anand, and Vladimir Kramnik. So again, if you missed it, the Blitz tournament starts at 6, so in 1 hour and 40 minutes we'll be back here. And yeah, don't miss it.
No, see you guys then. I'm too lazy to bring up the standings, but we read them out. Nakamura 7 out of 10, Anand 7 out of 10, Kramnik 6 out of 10, everyone else out of the race. Blitz tournament, there is 5 more total points to be gained or lost. If you want to see interviews with the players, you can change the flag below the broadcast. Click on the little German thing. There is our colleagues Yannick Pelletier and Werner Hug live on site in Zurich, and I'm sure they'll grab one of the players and talk to them, probably even using the common tongue, which is English.
Before we let you off, just in case you do think it's the Blitz tournament, just to make that clear one more time, it's not a friendly Blitz tournament like the first day. The Blitz tournament will count towards the tournament situation. So Latvian Gambit is saying in the chat, Nakamura won the tournament, congrats. No, he hasn't won the tournament. The Blitz tournament that's starting in 1 hour and a half will count towards the standings. So
You can see my efforts of bringing up the standings, but no. Let's not do this. Thank you guys for watching. Give some thought about the deserted island situation, because there's going to be more discussion coming. See you in around 90 minutes with the Blitz tournament. Bye-bye.
bye.